Talk about calorie restriction a little bit more. How does that help? I mean, we can see how it helps in things like weight loss. And is that the primary advantage to lengthening for
That's
anti-aging?
one issue of many, but really the work's gone on for 70 years, and in all species of animal tested, we see very complex changes in body functions that all operate to promote longevity. So it's not just weight loss per se. You see improvements in cardiovascular function. We have evidence that it reduces cardiovascular disease and pre-diabetes and things called metabolic syndrome X, which is a big issue. And then, of course, it actually helps to restore, in some circumstances, age-related decline in hormones. And it has an effect on cell cycling, so it interferes with what's called apoptosis, or cell death, that's premature cell death. And so there are a number of things, including the fact that it reduces oxidative stress. And you know, oxidative stress to tissues is really one of the most tenable theories of aging. So it's multiple effects that we perceive with calorie restriction in all animals tested, including extensive research recently reported in primates, and more recently evidence that we have this beneficial effect in humans.
When you talk about calorie restriction, does that depend on the person, the body type, how much you restrict calories, and what sort of level do you look for?
It's hard to define, and that's an excellent question. In essence, you're talking about pretty severe calorie restriction. There is a calorie restriction society out there where people are actually engaged in quite significant calorie restriction. This raises the other issue. In my book, I talk about calorie restriction mimetics. That means, can you mimic these favorable effects of calorie restriction without restricting the calories? So if we know, for example, a substance will control cell death, good example being resveratrol, you know, from red grapes, what we see there